"We serial killers are your sons, we are your husbands." These chilling words from Ted Bundy reveal a glimpse into the mind of one of history's most infamous criminals. But what made Bundy so dangerous wasn't just his crimes, it was his charm, his intelligence, and his deeply ingrained narcissism. In this episode of Criminal Psychology Snippets, we'll dive into the narcissistic traits that defined Ted Bundy and explore how his inflated self-image and lack of empathy fueled his horrifying actions. Before we dissect Bundy's mind, let's define narcissism. In psychology, narcissism is characterized by an inflated sense of self-importance, a deep need for admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. Not all narcissists are violent, but when narcissism is mixed with antisocial tendencies, it can become a dangerous cocktail. Imagine someone who believes they're above the rules, who feels no remorse for their actions, and who uses manipulation to achieve their goals. Now imagine that person as a predator. That's where narcissism turns sinister. Ted Bundy's life was a textbook case of narcissism in action. He was charming, confident, and at least on the surface, disarmingly normal. But beneath that facade was a man who believed he was smarter and more capable than anyone else. Bundy's grandiosity was evident in his belief that he could outsmart the police, and often he did. He escaped custody not once, but twice, brazenly flaunting his cunning. And then there was his charm. Bundy used his good looks and charisma to manipulate those around him. From luring victims to convincing others of his innocence, his narcissism thrived in the spotlight, whether it was media interviews or defending himself in court. He saw these as opportunities to showcase his perceived brilliance. In Bundy's mind, the world wasn't just a stage, it was his stage. And everyone else? They were merely supporting characters in his story. So, how did Ted Bundy's narcissistic traits fuel his crimes? For Bundy, his sense of superiority and lack of empathy were the perfect tools for manipulation and violence. Bundy's grandiosity made him believe he could do whatever he wanted without consequences. He viewed his victims not as people, but as objects, means to satisfy his twisted desires and reinforce his sense of control. His lack of empathy allowed him to carry out horrific acts without remorse, and his manipulative charm disarmed his victims and the people around him. Even after his arrest, Bundy continued to see himself as untouchable. His decision to represent himself in court wasn't just about strategy, it was a narcissistic display of his belief in his intellectual superiority. But his narcissism also blinded him to his own fallibility. While it helped him evade capture for years, it ultimately led to mistakes. Mistakes that allowed law enforcement to finally catch up with him. Ted Bundy's case provides chilling insight into how narcissism can manifest in criminal behavior. While not all narcissists are violent, understanding these traits is crucial in criminal profiling. Today, psychologists and law enforcement officials use tools like the Hare Psychopathy Checklist to identify narcissistic and antisocial tendencies in offenders. This knowledge helps predict behaviors and, in some cases, prevent future crimes. But Bundy's story also raises an unsettling question. How many individuals with similar traits walk among us, unnoticed? How many are capable of manipulation on a smaller scale, or worse? It's a reminder that while charm and confidence can be captivating, they can also mask something far more dangerous. Ted Bundy's story is a chilling reminder of how dangerous narcissism can become when paired with manipulation, lack of empathy, and a thirst for power. His crimes were not just about violence, they were about control, superiority, and feeding his inflated ego. But Bundy's downfall proves that even the most cunning individuals can't escape justice forever. His arrogance, the very thing that kept him hidden for years, eventually became his undoing. The narcissistic mind may be a dangerous enigma, but it's also a fragile one, forever teetering on the edge of its own destruction. Thank you for diving into the chilling psyche of Ted Bundy with us today. If you found this psychological breakdown fascinating, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and share it with other true crime enthusiasts. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the criminal mind. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of Criminal Psychology Snippets. What infamous criminal mind should we explore next? Drop your suggestions in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.